Let's first start our introduction of the jury with my colleague Jolande Melzert, the director of Erasmus Huis. So please introduce yourself, and can you also tell me a little bit more about the idea and background of these animation videos for children? What's the purpose of this all? Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you all other for joining us in this session. My name is Jolande Melzert. I'm the director of the Erasmus Huis and the Cultural Counselor for Culture and Communication on the Dutch Embassy. The Erasmus Huis is, as Jeff said, the cultural center of the Netherlands, and is based on the compound of the Dutch Embassy at the Rasuna Said in Jakarta. So it's like a pepper and salt set. The embassy and the Erasmus Huis are joined together on this compound. And Erasmus Huis exists of a library, an exhibition hall, and an auditorium / theater concert hall. And the aim of it all is to reach out to the Indonesian audience with Dutch arts and culture, but also to being a place where curious minds can meet, the curious minds of Indonesia and the Netherlands will meet, the artists will meet, will play together and get room and space to do their performances or the presentations. The audience of the Erasmus Huis is rather huge. We have a loyal audience, and it's mostly between 18 and 35 years old. And in thinking about art and the importance of art in society, we thought, well, it would be a good idea to also invite other audiences to our premises, like youngsters, but also the parents of the youngsters. And so a family program was raised last year to with this aim. We have theater performance for youth. We have youth or family films. We are working on literature to publish a book especially for children. But one of the important things we thought was missing is that we explain what art is. Because it's not in all schools or in all families that children get to know art and to get in contact with art. Of course, there are people who take their children to museums or to the theater or to the concert hall. But on the whole, it's still a lot of people, and that's not only in Indonesia, that's also in the Netherlands, a lot of young people who are not really get to know what art is or get to know or are not doing it themselves. Of course, you have children who are doing ballet. There are children that like to draw, drawing at home, but that you can make a living out of this. And it's that art is a way to express yourself, and art is a way to communicate with other people and to let them know other views on certain circumstances or topics. I think that's quite important. And the way the reason we do this is that we think that art is a very, very important base for democracy, because to get to know each other's passions, each other's thoughts that are different from yours, you get a better view of what the world can be. You get a better view and a better respect for people who are thinking and doing differently. So that's what we thought that would be a good idea to make a full program, especially for children, or especially for families, so that can join these performances and presentations together. And because we think that everybody, regardless of age, gender, religion, skin color, sexual preference, is part of this world, and art is a really good art and culture are really good vehicles to present these different kinds of views. we wanted to start with animations that we can use inside our premises, that we can use in our programs, but also put online to explain what art is, what film is, what performing art is, what literature is, what architecture is, just short animations that are for children from 8 to 14 years old, so that they get a slight insight in what the possibilities are, and that if they draw or dance or make music themselves, that it's a contribution to society as well. So it can be very the animation can be very simple, but not too childish, but also, especially made for the 8 to 14 years old. If we talk about art, we also have to talk about, in the same animation, I think, about museum or galleries. If we talk about performing art, we also have to talk in this animation about the theater venue or the concert hall. So it's the first step into this, insight into what's happening on these specific topics. So that's why we started with this. We think that it has to be ready by the end of this year, so we can use it from 2020 on. And we made a jury. We invited the jury members from different sides, from different experience. I will be the chair of the jury, but in this jury are very experienced people. So Jeff, I would like you to invite the other members of the jury.
Okay, thank you, Yolanda. And I think we will come back to you during the Q&A. So then let's go to our second jury member. And well, I think I'm personally kind of honored to have him as part of a jury. And I think maybe the Indonesian people know him already. Mas Wadid, an activist in animation and design, and he's the founder of the Hello Motion Academy. And well, I've noticed you are a very popular vlogger in Indonesia with more than 1.2 million subscribers on your YouTube channel. So please welcome today. And I think it's for the applicants very interesting to know what you think about which criteria will you take into account when you will judge the work. What do you think is important? What kind of animation videos, especially for children, do you see the most in Indonesia? What would you advise to do, and what would you advise to do not? And well, I think just from your own creative perspective, can you give some tips and tricks and maybe some advice to people who want to apply for this open call? Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for introduction. Yes, first of all, I'm very happy that Erasmus Huis have initiative to make this kind of project. It's quite rare, but because there is two main topic. First, Erasmus Huis embrace animation, and second is the topic is for kids and family. That's what make me very happy. And actually, animation is a complete medium because we as a creator arrange multi-asset, arrange multi-ingredients from sound, picture, movement, background, and etc. And then it's very, for me, animation is very powerful to inspire audience. So in the criteria is already complete that we seek about the person, is it creative or have a design skill, or is it correct, have a correct tone for the kids audience, and is it a clear storyline, and or speak sufficient English. You can read again in the social media Erasmus Huis. But in my personal opinion, there is 3 keywords for the candidate. First is you have to be convincing to us, and then there is an initiative from you, and be creative. Convincing, for example, please give me as much as information as possible about you, about your work, about the concept. So I can judge from that that information. And initiative, there is no exact rule actually for submitting the concept. Maybe just for example, we require CV or portfolio. But if you have initiative to make like a storyboard or a storyline, complete storyline, to make the project believable, that's it's a good thing to do. And then be creative. The limitation of animation is your creativity. So you don't have to be similar output with another animation outside, but if you have your own character, your own style, just do it. I think that's my brief explanation about this competition. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, thank you much, Wadid. I think those are very important keywords. I think also for the Erasmus, like be convincing, take initiative, and be creative. I think that's a really good starting point for the animation designer to do his job, to start and to come up with a creative idea. Okay, thank you. Then we go to our next member of the jury, and that is our next judge. That is Remco Vermeulen from Dutch Culture. He is based in Amsterdam. So hi there. Good morning. Is it still morning in the Netherlands? Good morning, Remco.
Nope.
Please introduce.
Afternoon.
Afternoon already. Please introduce yourself, and maybe you can also tell a little bit more about what Dutch culture is and the relationship with Erasmus Huis. And can you also tell a little bit more about the requirements for participation? Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Jeff, and very nice to be here. Yeah, so my name is Remco Vermeulen. I work as an advisor for cultural cooperation between Indonesia and the Netherlands, for an organization called Dutch Culture. And Dutch Culture is basically an organization that stimulates international cultural cooperation between the Netherlands and different partner countries around the world. And Indonesia is one of our nicest partner countries, of course, I would say. And I've been doing that job for like 6 years already. So I know a little bit about Indonesia by now, so that's very nice. And Dutch Culture is collaborating with Erasmus Huis on this very interesting animation project. And I'm super happy to be part of the jury as well, to look at all the different proposals that we receive. Yeah, because for us and for me personally, I think Erasmus Huis is very important and is actually very unique. And Yolanda already told you about Erasmus Huis's mission and what they do. But it's quite unique that there isn't a cultural center run by the Netherlands Embassy in Jakarta. It's actually the only cultural center as such that still remains. And it really emphasizes also the importance of culture when it comes to the bilateral relationship between our two countries. So for me, it's always very nice and very inspiring to work with the Erasmus Huis and what it actually stands for. It's not just the cultural center, which in itself is already super interesting, but it's also the mission and the possibilities it has for stimulating and further strengthening and deepening the cultural relationships between Indonesia and the Netherlands. And that's also why I'm super happy to be working on this particular project. I think it's very interesting to create a series of animation movies, especially targeted for children and for their families, like Masvarit already said. I think, you know what it is? I think for a lot of us, culture or design or arts are obviously very important, but it still strikes me how many people don't realize how important it is, how important culture is. Even in the Netherlands, there are still a lot of people that don't see the importance. So I think the one target group that we should address as cultural makers or as cultural programmers or educators are children. If we teach the children how important art is, how important culture is, then hopefully when they grow up, they will remember, and hopefully that will contribute to a nicer and better world in the end. But that's a very big hope. So that's also one of the reasons why we as Dutch Culture contribute to this project or are partnering with Erasmus Huis. And now let me tell you a little bit more about the requirements for participation, because I see already Jeff is looking at me like TikTok. So the requirements for participation are you have to be an Indonesian citizen living in Indonesia to be able to apply or to send in your proposal for this project. And we focus on upcoming talents. So designers that have about 2 to 3 years of experience in creative industries. You have to be available in the period September to December of this year, 2021. Just aim, like how much work it's gonna take is of course a little bit difficult to think of right now, but we think it will take you about a few hours per week, and that you can use your time flexibly. Of course, it's important that you speak English fluently so that we can communicate with you, but also for the promotion and publications around this project. Of course, you need to have some experience with animation design, and you need to have an affinity with education, culture, and children and content for these groups and on these topics. And you can apply as an individual, but you can also apply as a small group, with a maximum of 3 people. And I think, I'm not sure whether it was already mentioned, but when it comes to the scripts for the movies, I think it will be a co-creation between us, but also with like your own inputs, basically, so that it's like we make the content together. I think that was it for me, Jeff.
Thank you, Remco. Yeah, I think it's very clear to me. Well, then we go to Oxalis, also my colleague. So she is currently the designer at Erasmus Huis. So maybe Oxalis, you can also introduce yourself and maybe tell us also a little bit more about your work as designer for Erasmus Huis. And last but not least, with regard to the open call, can you tell a little bit more about all the materials that needs to be submitted?
Yes, thank you, Jeff. My name is Oxalis. I work as a graphic designer and content editor at the embassy, Dutch embassy. And so basically I design flyers and other visual content for the Dutch embassy, but mostly for Erasmus Huis. So I basically design flyers like for events or other programs for Erasmus Huis. And since about the content editor, I also edit videos or make trailers for example, for film festivals. So yeah, basically I deal with many creative parts of the Erasmus Huis. And I will give information about how to submit the material. So basically it's more in technicalities. First, you need to send us your CV. It doesn't have to be like a very extensive one, but we just want to know like where did you study, or if you have any work experience that's related to design or to any in any creative field. And then we need your portfolio. If you have no like one-page portfolio, you can also send us your website, for example, if you already have it on your website, or you can also send us like maybe like a screenshot of your work. For example, if you made like a several animation videos already, you can make a screenshot and then you can give us like the link to YouTube, to the YouTube videos, for example, and then we can check from there. And then we ask you to send us your motivation letter. So it's a very brief, between 200 to 250 words. So it's only about why you want to have this assignment and why you are the best, means like the qualification that requires. For example, you have experience with making creative projects with children, for example, or you have any experience in making animation. And then you have mood board around what is our theme. So also this one, maybe just one page of the tone that you would like to have for the animation. And then you need to make a short, so 15-second video about meaning of art in your style. So if you want to make this short video about meaning of art from your perspective and your style, and then we can see whether your style actually is the one that we're looking for. Okay, so I think that's also from me. I will give it back to Jeff.
Well, thank you, Oxalis. And well, I think this is also quite clear. But if there are any questions, I think now we introduced all members of jury, and we still have 30 minutes left. So I would also really like to hear from the participants today. So please feel free, if you have any question, to put on your camera, and maybe you can introduce yourself, or otherwise you can ask your questions in the chat box. And maybe to start with, so if you have a question, please raise your hand so I can see it. Now I already see a question in the chat box, and I think Yolanda can answer this question. I can go creative, but will Erasmus Huis provide the designer with the information, like the answers to what is art, what is performance art, or is it expected that the designer team collecting all the reference by themselves if selected? Yolanda, can you answer this question?
No. Of course, we have an idea what we want, what the message will be. So we will help. I will write a few lines for every animation with the base words. I don't want to prescribe to make a prescription of the storyline, but we do have an idea what we would like. But no, you're certainly not to do it on your own. Of course, you get all the help. It will be a working together. The thing is that we are looking for people who we think have a broad spectrum that they can bring to us, so that this collaboration will work out. I hope that's an answer to the question.
So if I understand it correctly, Yolanda, the embassy or Erasmus Huis will provide a kind of a framework, and then it's up to the animation designer to make something of this framework and to put it in creative in an animation.
Yes, but it will be in dialogue. So if there's any question, I think we are the animation designer and the Erasmus Huis are both responsible in the end for what's being presented. So it's a working together, and of course we will make a concept for each video, a short outline for what we think should be the storyline. But it's trying to find a balance between sending this to somebody and don't take away the creativity to make your own story of it. But it's so this is it, I think. And if it's for now, it's important that you have an idea, or you have a kind of feeling that you can send us, so that we can find out if we think there are possibilities to work together.
Okay, clear. So if I understood, also the animator can have a role and also can tweak, or it can come up with his own suggestion. So we can work both together to creating a nice storyline. Yeah. Okay. Let me check if there are any other questions. I also had a question, and I have a question about if the animation designers can use an avatar. I'm not sure who want to answer this question. Yolanda, maybe?
Yeah, maybe, or maybe Wadid can also, because I think he has also ideas. Well, I think it's nice to have. I think it's nice to have a combination of animation, so that it's not the one on art is a very different one from the one on performing arts or the one on architecture. So if you can make a red line, and of course you can use an avatar or a personality or something. It can also be an object going from one to another and explaining what art is or what architecture is. And of course, an avatar, I think an avatar is always nice for children because they can reflect themselves in this. So, and it gives a hold to, but maybe Maswadit can tell something more about this because he's more experienced in this, being the inventor of Avatar himself.
Yes, in my point of view, using avatar or character design, it's a good way to introduce or to give information. And because of the project is in a series, 5 series, so there is a red line between the first movie to the another movie. So it's become one complete project. And I agree with Yolanda that kids also will be relate if there is a character that can communicate. Because in my experience, I also create a character for kids, and when the character become alive and entertain and move in the animation, you can see magic in this animation. So that's a good strategy too, because for the production point of view, it's make our production become faster, because we don't have to think another character or another style to make the new topic or another topic. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is one of the essentials and also really important to know for the animation designer to decide if they want to do an avatar or not. So I think this can be very helpful for the project. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, I don't see, but I'm not sure, Oxalis, I don't see people raising their hands. Is that correct? I'm not sure, but because this is my first time doing this. And I also don't see any questions in this chat box. So, well, all the participants, if you have any questions or if anything, or if maybe you have questions about the supplement budget or about the requirements, please feel free to ask. I have also maybe a question. I do not, for example, have an official degree in animation. Oxalis, maybe you can answer this. Am I allowed to participate?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? There was
Yeah,
a little hiccup.
Oh, okay, sorry. If there are people who are interested to join, but they don't have an official degree in animation, are they allowed to participate?
Yes, of course they are allowed to participate, and that's why we don't only ask for your CV but also your portfolio. So maybe you already have experience in making animation, even though you don't have a degree in animation design. I think during one of our meetings with Mas Wadid, he told us that there are many Indonesian who are not also full-time animators. That's also okay. So we only want to have someone who have experience, but not, you know, it doesn't have to be fully with a full-time animator's job.
Okay. Thank you. I don't see any other questions. So maybe Maswadit, I was thinking, do you also have some recommendations about what for kind of animations you definitely don't want to see to be submitted? Some things you really don't like, or you think, oh, well, that's not suitable for children, that's too old-fashioned, or well, that's something done that before. Any advice?
Yeah, for me, of course, not violence, and it's safe for the children. But technically, please do not use a popular sound or music as a background. Please use non-copyright music. There is a lot of non-copyright music in YouTube you can use, or you can make your own music. And please don't use free asset. There is a lot of free asset as a character or a background, because it's look too easy for me. And it's sometimes I can see whether this is original work made by you or just download from the website. And
Okay, well.
and sometimes I can see the style, it's quite similar. So that's why if you have your own style, just do it by your own style.
Okay, thank you. And it's also, that's, I think, the good point why we also ask you to be part of the jury. You can really see if something is copied or not. So you can be very strict on that point. Okay, clear. Yolanda, maybe you can ask the question about the language in those videos. Do you have anything particularly in mind?
Yeah, of course, we were talking about understanding the English language, but that's only because we need to communicate about producing it and making it. But of course, it's for Indonesian children, so it will be in Bahasa Indonesia. And that's also, we have, thank God, we have two Indonesian members of the jury, Wadid and Oxalis, and they can judge if it's a proper language, or is it not too long, or is it, because I think in animation especially short sentences, clear voice is important. So it will be done in Bahasa Indonesia, and we have two members who can judge this, because my Bahasa is not strong enough. I know Remco also speaks a little bit Bahasa, but I think we won't be able to judge this. So we leave it to the other jury members.
Okay, thank you. Anything that comes along?
Can I say something? Sorry, can I add something? I think humor is also important. It's the Bahasa Indonesia is important, but it's also about the humor in Indonesia. Indonesian people, for me, are people who laugh a lot and who like the humoristic thing in this. So I think that's important. But also the two Indonesian jury members can better judge this, I think. Yeah.
I think that's a good point, Yolanda. I think the Dutch people, we are way too serious. And that's, I think, also the thing, what we like about Indonesia, that everything is very joyful in here, and everybody, however bad the situation is, everybody makes something of it and is always friendly and makes time to make a little joke with each other. So that's, I think that would be very nice to include also in the theme of these kinds of videos. Okay, Remco, maybe based on all this, do you have something to add or something you would like to mention?
I think it's just a very, what for me is also exciting is to see, of course, like Yolanda already said, like we don't want to give you the full script of all these videos. We also are looking really much for your own inputs and your own thoughts. Like how would you as a designer, as a young person, how would you explain what art is, for example, to kids in your own country? And I think for me, that is the exciting part of this assignment, is to see what you come up with, so that together we can create a series of very nice and relevant videos.
No, it's really nice what you are saying, and I totally agree. Well, are there any questions from the participants today? Because I don't see
One more.
anybody
There's
raising
There's
hands.
one more question.
One in the chat
Oh,
box.
is there in the chat box? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Just want to confirm
Yeah.
we make the animation in Bahasa. Oxalis,
Yes.
you can answer.
Yeah, I think it's good to have the animation in Bahasa Indonesia because it's for children, so it's easier for them to understand about art.
Yeah, and as I understood from embassy side, we will then also have a look if we can translate those animation videos into English, but that is we can fund ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if there are not any last questions, maybe then I would like to ask each member of jury to say maybe one keyword where
There's
they
another
think, oh,
question.
Remco.
Another question.
Oh, really?
No,
Oh,
in the chat.
Excuse me, I still have a question. We have to, well, that's not a problem, of course, because we have till 6. We have to make a 50 seconds video for the first assignment. Oxalis?
Yes, basically it's part of the requirements to apply for this open call. So just make a 15-second video about what is art and whether your video will be incorporated in the assignment in the commission or not, that we will discuss afterwards. But we need this video to see your perspective, your point of view, and your style for this assignment, for this basically for the open call. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Oxalis. Well, first, oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, any other questions? Then I would like to ask the members of your maybe to have you maybe one key word in mind what you would give as an inspiration to the participants and which they can use during their creative process. Just one keyword, and well, Masmudit already gave 3 keywords, of course: be convincing, take initiative, and be creative. But I would also like to invite you to maybe give one keyword to the participants. Maybe Yolanda, you can start.
exciting.
Exciting. Okay. And do you also want to elaborate on that, or do you think this is enough for now?
Yeah, well, it must be. You have to be waiting for the next animation in a way. So it's when it's a story of being or getting to know art or being in a museum or something, then you are curious about the next one. So I think it's important that it's a family of animations, that you can see them separately, but in a whole, that would be so it's a kind of exciting, not be bored, of course, being excited to curious and waiting for the next minute again. How do I explain this well? I don't know. So it keeps you into the animation. It for children are really if they get bored, they're off. They don't even see the next 10 seconds. So if you're not taking their concentration or taking their attention at the first place, they won't see the rest. So that's why I think maybe exciting is not the right word, but keep them curious and into, yeah, I think that's important.
What about you, Remco?
I don't think I think we have shared all the information we need to share. I'm just very much looking forward to the applications, really. So good luck.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's quite a challenging but also a very fun assignment. So I'm really looking forward to the creativity that people come up with.
Thank you. Oxalis.
If there is one word, wait, what were 3 words from Maswadit previously? Creative?
Creative, initiative, convincing.
Mm-hmm.
And Yolanda said, like, keep them curious.
Yeah, I think maybe inspiring, because I remember when I was a little, I didn't really inspired from what the school taught me about art, but I learned it from elsewhere. So maybe this was also a way for children to get inspired to not only to know art, but also to live with art and know that it's a very important part in our life.
Yeah, I totally agree. Last but not least, Maswadit, do you have something to add? Maybe not a keyword, but maybe one, I don't know, one
Maybe
thing.
a sentence, short sentence. So for me, just let your work speak loudly or bold. So from speak loudly or bold means that you don't have to become similar with other words, but you can be a different, make your work different as or express with your own style.
Thank you. Well, I think that's really important in the work also of an animator. And well, if I may, I think it's also important to incorporate, of course, our Dutch values. So what we think is really why we stand for. I think that's creative. Well, that's already been said a lot. Invented, open, and inclusive. So I think those keywords you should really think of. Well, if there are not any last questions. Oh,
there's one
wait,
more question.
Yeah.
one more question. Is it okay if I made the submission individually, but later hired sound engineer to help me? Well, this is about the requirements. Maybe Oxalis?
Yeah, I think that's possible. Yeah, because then you receive this lump sum, right? So then it is up to you to use the money.
Okay, well, so it's possible. So don't let it be the thing in which you decide to do this job or not to do the job.
I would like to add this, that we want to go for quality, for professionality, and if it needs to hire professionals on this, because of course that's possible. We won't let you draw or produce a very, very nice visual and the sound is bad. That would be awful. So yeah.
Okay, well, I think, does this answer your question, or any other last questions for now?
Can I also add something? If there are any more questions, you can always send it later to the email, the com@minduza.nl, or you can also send a direct message to Instagram of Erasmus House, and we will reply from that.
Okay, so then you will answer those questions, right, Salis? Okay, yeah. I think that is also very helpful, because we still have some couple of days, because the deadline is, what was it again? The 13th of August.
Yeah.
One last question. Do we have to import Do we have to input our voices for the 50 seconds video assignment?
Voices?
Or just
Well,
background music?
yeah, it's up
I think
to,
it depends on the
yeah.
initiative. So it's
Yeah.
up to you,
Yeah.
up to the creator.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you can make more than 15, make 30 seconds just to make us impressed. That's okay, it's up to you. But the minimum is 15.
Hopefully this is clear. Yeah. Well, and I think that's the most important point, as what Maswadit is saying. I think you need to impress the jury, so they will pick you to do the 5 animation videos. So take whatever it takes, and yeah, the format is in that sense kind of free, so you can do the background music or not, or you can do voices or not, but that's totally up to you, and if it sticks according to your plan to do. Well, if there are no any other questions, then I would like to thank Maswadit, Remco from the Netherlands, Jolande, Oxalis, and all the participants today for this info session. And well, as what Oxalis has told you before, if there are still any questions, please send a DM through our Instagram or send an email to our email address, jack.com@minbusa.nl, and then we will answer you. Okay, well, thank you everybody and have a nice evening. Malam. Goodbye.
Thank you. Selamat malam. Thank you, Jeff.